Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, which is presented to you by Power Planter Earth Augers, the official digging tool. To find the right size for your digging project, visit powerplanter.com. Now here are your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Hey there, how you doing? Time for some of your garden questions, and we'll get to as many of them as possible. So we'll start, if you got a question, you can certainly give us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-SHOW. Or if you find it easier, you can send us an email at gardentalkradio@gmail.com, gardentalkradio@gmail.com. To find all that information of how to get a hold of us and other things we do, it's the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. First question for you, Holly. Have you ever encountered radish maggots, and do you know of any methods to prevent radish maggots from occurring in the garden? Thank you.
Sure. So with radish maggots, the best thing is to use diatomaceous earth. And what that does is you would mix it in with your soil around the radishes. And
would this be prior to planting or anytime during the growing season?
Anytime you think that this is happening. Now, there are some other harsher alternatives.
Always are.
And that's something you can research on your own. But we've never dealt with it. But it's something that you can, that's diatomaceous earth has a lot of uses, and that's one of them.
Okay. Next question here we have about carrots. How long would you give carrots to grow before thinning them out?
So the idea is about 4 weeks from the time of planting.
Now, when we thin carrots out, we're not yanking them out. We're wanting to take like fingernail clippers or very small scissors and cutting the ones between the other ones to space. And because if we start pulling them out, we're going to disrupt the root systems of the ones we're wanting to keep and potentially could damage those as well.
Right. Yeah. So that's something that you want to do. The next question is, I didn't plant spinach seeds in the spring, but I found some and want to know when is the best time to plant them. Would late August work? What would work?
Well, it really depends on where you live. And depending on, spinach is a cool weather crop. And we find that trying to grow it in the spring does not work, as we find many crops like rutabagas, turnips do not do well. Some lettuces do not do well in the spring because we find that growing. It depends on where you live. Spinach is a cool weather crop, and if it gets too warm and the days get too long, it will go to bolt. It will go to seed. It will become bitter and not, you can't utilize it. So you want to plant it it takes about 45 days to grow. So you want to plant it about 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost of the fall. Again, this varies, and certain crops do better than other crops that, in the fall, especially in the northern climates. We don't plant spinach in the spring. We plant it in the fall. We plant turnips and rutabagas in the fall because they love that cool, colder nights temperatures as it progressively gets into the fall. And they thrive really good, as well as lettuce does. You don't have to worry about lettuce going to seed very quickly at all. So there you go.
What do you do for early blight on tall phlox?
Well, there's a couple of things you can do. You can spray it with some fungicides for the flower for the phlox there. You can also you can remove some of the damaged or infected leaves. You can remove about 25% of those. You want to avoid overhead sprinkling when possible because that can kick up the soil, just like on tomatoes. Soil carries bacteria, the early blight, and will get on the plants there. Your best option is to mulch very well. And also do not grow them so tightly together where you can't get mulch in there. You want to get that soil covered. And you could utilize the method in which we particularly like to use for tomatoes preventing early blight is by using yellow whole grain cornmeal. It fights the bad bacteria in the soil, which is that early blight. So some of those things will help. Obviously, when it rains, you can't help that overhead watering, but you reduce the splash up by utilizing mulch. All right. Something is eating my asparagus. Any suggestions? I do not want to build a tall fence. I'm thinking it may be deer. We have picked this 4 times, and today should have been a good picking, but I picked 7 to 8 pieces, and it looks like something has mowed them down to the ground. I still would like to pick more, but what can I do?
Sure. So you can, if it is a deer, you can use deer defeat, and that is probably the next best thing. It's all natural, and you would want to look into it. You can
use radio to save 10%.
To save 10%
at checkout. But deer defeat, yeah, it's an all natural product.
It works. It only smells for about 30 minutes after you apply it
to humans.
And then it's good even after it rains or freezes. So you could definitely try that deer defeat.
All right. What's the next question here?
Can I split a lavender plant just by cutting it in half?
No, you can't. You cannot divide lavender. Lavender is a woody plant or a woody shrub, however you want to define that. And if you cut it down the middle, you will cut the wood portion, the stem, or the stalk, or the plant itself, and you will kill it, and it will die. So no, you can't divide that. What's the next question here, Holly?
I planted my seeds in elevated rows. What is the best mulch for this type of garden setup? If I use straw or leaf mulch, do I have to remove it before I till next season?
No, you do not. The leaf mulch will probably break down and go into the soil before next season. The straw, you do not. You can just go ahead and incorporate that into the soil itself if you do choose to till. You could also utilize wood chips. However, if you do use wood chips as a mulch, you do not want to mix them into the soil because they will absorb the nitrogen and actually cause deficiencies in the plants in which you're growing. But the leaves, we collect lots of leaves, and we will continue to do that. We did that with the ground garden. We will continue to do that with the raised beds. Feeds the soil, breaks down, the worms take it down into the soil, and it dissipates very, very quickly. So works well on that.
All right, so I have some chives this year. I never grew them before, but my son bought a house that had them mixed in the flower bed. Mine are starting to flower. Should I let them flower?
You can let them flower. However, when you let them flower, it's just like when you let garlic go to seed and put the scape on. You will get smaller leaves or the smaller chives, so to speak, because the energy is going into the flower stalk. Instead of the stalk itself, it shrinks down and puts more energy into the stalk. So you can pull those flowers off, and the chives, they do make, I think, what is it, Holly, like chive tea or chive vinegar or something like that with the flowers. There's a recipe.
I think it's tea.
You can do something.
Vinegar.
You can do something with those flowers.
It's oil.
Oil. Okay, you can do something with those things. So, question here: is it too late to plant pole beans? If I soak them today, it's the beginning of June. Is it okay to plant them?
Yeah, you can plant them. You don't even have to soak them, but they take about 60 to 80 days to grow, and then they'll produce until it basically freezes till fall.
Yeah, or if you get bean rust or you kill them or something of that magnitude. Yeah, if you do choose to soak them, which is fine, you usually get about a 2 to 3 day jump on germination because you're hydrating them. How long do you soak them? 4, 6, 8 hours, something in that range. Obviously, the smaller seeds, you want to soak them shorter. The larger seeds, like garlic, the garlic cloves, not the seeds, the garlic cloves, we will soak for 12 to 24 hours. So it all depends on that. And with the pole beans, again, like you said, Holly, they'll grow till frost freeze, you kill them. Bush beans, on the other hand, will only grow and will grow 40 to 60 days they'll take 40 to 60 days to reach maturity. And then they will produce for about 2 to 3 weeks, give or take a little bit, and they're done. You can pull them up, plant something else in there. So if you got the space and you can utilize a trellis, pole beans is what we would suggest, though we plant both of them. There's good things about both of them, and we plant both of them in the garden.
Another question that we had come in is, why are my cabbage transplants turning yellow?
Well, without having an image, and if you do have a situation such as this is what's occurring with X plant, if you can send us a picture along with the email at gardentalkradio@gmail.com, you will certainly help us out quite a bit because we can look at the plant and kind of start our detective work from that. But without seeing the plant, my thought is, as we talked about it in the first segment, could be overwatering. If you've got a lot of rain, it's flushed the nitrogen away from the root system, and it's lacking. It's trying to utilize that nutrients that's not there. So a couple of things we can do. We can top dress it with compost. Compost contains a lot of nutrients, a lot of good micro and macronutrients. You can also utilize a fertilizer with not a high first number, like maybe an 8 or 9. 10 would be the highest. We don't need a 30-30-30 or a 40 or 90 something nitrogen content, because you're going to put too much to the plant, and you're going to cause problems. You're going to cause the plant to uptake that nutrients and that nutrients will overtake the other nutrients that it's trying to take up. So you can also use a liquid fertilizer, a Dr. Jim's, a Neptune's Harvest. The liquid fertilizer is going to absorb to the roots right away. The granular fertilizer, it's going to take some time in order for that to break down and feed the plant. It will do such, but it will take a longer time to get it into the plant itself.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.